And hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, it's so great to have you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time and I hope that you enjoy the show. Well, we're going to highlight the Legacy Theater, which is based in Branford, Connecticut. You may recall I've had them on before. I'm thrilled that Keely Bateson-Knudsen, the Executive Artistic Director and co-founder, has been kind enough to accept my invitation to come back again. And Keely, thanks so much for coming back. We appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me again.
Well, like we were just talking before we started taping, I'd love to introduce the guest to the viewer. So why don't you take us back into your background? Let us get to know you.
Sure. So I grew up far away from here in San Antonio, Texas, and I always dreamed of working in the theater. So of course, when I was 16, my mom brought me out to New York City, and we saw a whole bunch of Broadway shows, and I thought, I have to go to school out here. So I went to NYU for my undergrad. And being a Texan and being out at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts in the city was a little rough. So I would escape on the train out to suburbia, which was Connecticut, and I fell in love with it out here. After I got my master's degree in Scotland and then toured for quite a bit, I thought, if I could live anywhere in the whole world, I would live in Connecticut. So when I had enough money to get an apartment on my own, I moved out here and started teaching at a nearby university and the local universities, and working out of New York City and doing, odd bits here and there until I got my footing and haven't looked back since. So building a theater in not New York City, in Connecticut, here in Branford, Connecticut on the shoreline is such a dreamy, wonderful, a spot to be in, because I really love the people and the culture and the area so much. And it's been wonderful raising my family here and having this beautiful theater.
Let's go back a little bit to the beginning, if you don't mind. Did you know when you were growing up that you wanted to be an actor?
Absolutely. I knew that I wanted to sing, act, and dance in front of people. I knew I loved entertainment and I loved the escapism, both watching and participating in it. And I've always had, compassion for humanity. And so I had all the makings of an artist and an actor. And so I've always known I wanted to be an actor, yes.
When you were at NYU, how did you end up in Scotland? What took you there?
Well, I was about to graduate NYU with my with honors in acting, and I knew that I wanted to kind of see the world a little bit. I'd only, seen what I'd seen from Texas to New York. And there was a notice on the board saying that there were auditions for the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama. And I thought, well, that sounds really interesting. So I thought, well, I'll just go to the audition, just like any other audition. So I auditioned for it first, and when they accepted me, then I did the application. And then I was on tour of a musical theater piece, and when I got the acceptance note, and I thought, I won't get my master's, I'll just continue on my tour. But then they offered me a full scholarship and a living stipend. So I quit the tour, and the choreographer came out and, taught the new person, and off I went to Scotland. So it felt like it was so fated that I kind of had to go. That life wasn't giving me any other option, and I'm so glad I went. Of course, I love teaching on the college level, and the training there was very different from NYU. It was more working from the outside in as opposed to the inside out, which is very American. And it was a wonderful training, and I met wonderful people. And because of the units were such that you'd focus on one part of the field, and then you were free for a couple of weeks. So you could go explore. So I got to travel a whole bunch and see a bunch of the world that I wouldn't have otherwise seen. So it was a great experience.
Now, you have mentioned from being an actor to teacher. How did that come about?
Well, that's also something I always admired my professors. I always, thought how wonderful it would be to continue advancement of knowledge, right? You read texts and they respond to each other in your mind, and then you want to put what you learn from, putting all of those wonderful thoughts together, put those out in the world. So, I'd always wanted to teach and write, and I've been fortunate enough to do that. uh, these last 20, I think 3 years, 23 years at Quinnipiac University and at other universities as well. But it's very much a part of my identity, and I love passing on. And that's another reason I named our theater Legacy Theater, is passing on the legacy of this rich art form is something I feel very passionately about, and it feels like a responsibility just to the oncoming generations. So, yeah.
Well, of course, we have many people that do come on that are performers, but that have also created a theater company and also a theater itself. What made you decide to create your own theater? How was that process for you to go through?
Well, it was a matter of wanting to have creative control over the types of productions that I put on. I loved directing. I started directing on the college level and also professionally. And I just found I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed choreographing, and it was very visual. And I thought if I could have my own theater company, then I'd be able to, create the pieces that I wanted to create and be as involved as I wanted. As I've done so much of it now over these last 5 years in particular with Legacy, I find myself more in the producer role from time to time, where I'm engaging a director and a choreographer and casting. And I love, I love all aspects of it. I've truly chosen the right profession for me. I really love all of the aspects. So, for instance, coming up, we have a new world premiere production called Long Days, which is about a group of actors in a regional theater putting on the play Long Day's Journey into Night, the great Eugene O'Neill classic. And reading the play was a submission of new work. I love reading new works. I think having the opportunity to take somebody's creative vision that is on a piece of paper and then put it up on a stage, fully embody it with actors and costumes and lights and sets, and have audiences respond to it in real time. It's a magical process. And so I received this as one of the many submissions that I had. And when I read it, I thought, ooh, this is pretty close to home. It's a play about actors, very meta, very, play within a play in its own right. And so I decided I wanted to direct that one. And I'm co-directing it with a TV star, Michael Hogan, who you might know from The Resident. And he was also here in one of our shows last season. But it is a remarkable opportunity to be able to have a creative spark, an inspiration, I'll say, and then to be able to be in a position where you can give the opportunity to the creative team, to the audience, to yourself, to fully realize somebody's idea of storytelling. So I love it. I love all aspects of running a theater company, and I'm so grateful that we have this gorgeous venue that we get to do our stories in.
Well, that's one of the things that I think the audience would like to get to know you even further is Legacy Theater. Can you tell us what that's all about?
Yeah. So we are so excited because we're in our 5th season, which is so hard to believe because you and I have been chatting about this for years now. And it's so fun to come back on your show year after year and talk about how we've grown. We had this idea of having and I say we, I mean my partner, Stephanie Steeple Williams, and I, a performing longtime friend, gone partner. And so she and I thought, well, let's have a theater on the shoreline and let's find a venue that can house our vision of it. And so when we discovered that the Stony Creek Puppet House was for sale here in the Stony Creek part of Brantford, it was kismet. We thought, wow, it already has a rich legacy of history, and here we are wanting to breathe life into a venue to bring our vision to it. So, in 2011 we began Legacy Theater. In 2013 we purchased the building, and by 2021 we'd finally gone through all of the necessary zoning and building and all that you need to go through with at that point it wasn't inhabitable. So we needed to do a lot of work to it and a lot of envisioning of the architecture and whatnot, which was its own wonderful process. And so 2021 was our first season, which of course was, full swing into the pandemic. So we had plexiglass covering our proscenium. We had, socially distanced seats every other row. It was quite the environment to open up the theater, but it was only downhill from there. So it's an interesting history. But Legacy Theater was founded by Stephanie Stiefel Williams and myself, and through our grit. And passion and naivete, we ended up opening, and now we're in our 5th successful season. And it's, we've had as iconic moments as Julie Andrews directing last summer here in these walls. And, we continue to revisualize what it is we want to do here in this beautiful space to continue to build and engage our audiences.
Okay, let's hold that thought and take a break. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You're tuned into Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how's sketches, vaping? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, I hope you're enjoying the show. My conversation continues on with Keely Bateson-Knutson. We're talking about the Legacy Theater. And Keely, let's not forget legacytheaterct.org, which is your website. What will the viewer find when they visit it?
We have a robust webpage that has all kinds of volunteer opportunities, as well as classes, conservatory information. If you're a playwright and you want to submit a play, there's an opportunity to do that on our website. Of course, on the homepage, you'll find what's going on. If you want a date night or want to do something with your children, you'll be able to see our family series as well as our main stage series, our Broadway concert series. We have Tony Award-winning performers that come and sit with the baby grand piano and John McDaniel at piano, and they sing their songs from Broadway and tell us all about their lives in this very intimate setting, which is phenomenal. We have Donna McKechnie, who was in a chorus line coming, Norbert Leo Butz, who was the original Fiyero in Wicked. So we have all kinds of wonderful programming, opportunities for people to become involved, opportunity for philanthropists to give and continue the tradition of the legacy, and just all kinds of events and classes for everyone.
The theater itself, how did you find it? You've said you found it for sale. What was the process like creating it from where it was unto how it is today?
Great question, Deborah. It's funny because, and I'm glad you asked that, because it's such an important part of our history and we don't talk about it too much. And now that we're, 5 years running, it feels like such a turning point and a fork in the road. But what happened was the previous owner, Jimmy Weil, was not able to sell the property himself. It was in probate court at the time. And so the judge had a couple of different organizations that were interested in purchasing the building pitch to him, more or less. So I got my little business plan together and went before the judge and said, this is what I would do with it. And this is what our company would do if we had the opportunity to purchase this building. And even though some of those other businesses were not arts-based, some of them were, but some weren't, and could be seen as a little bit more commercially viable, perchance. For whatever reason, the judge went with my presentation. And so we were able to have 12 months to have the right to purchase. And so if we could fundraise within 12 months the amount we needed to purchase the building, then we would be able to purchase it and carry forward, which was a remarkable opportunity to give a brand new nonprofit, I have to say. So because of that, we went forth fundraising. And fundraising is not something that I studied at NYU or at the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama. So it's been a lot of, just trial and error and passion and talking to a remarkable community of people who would give money to an idea and a hope for a better, area and to restore this wonderful historic building. And, the state of Connecticut stepped up. We had, wonderful, the Branford Community Foundation, the Guilford Foundation, so many wonderful individuals and their foundations. So it's been just meeting the most fabulous people, willing to support, and they've continued to as we had our doors open. But that was the beginning of it. A judge saying, okay, let's say yes to this legacy theater idea and see what they can do. And sure enough, and then of course we had to continue fundraising in order to, be able to purchase all of the things that are in it, because it was the exterior of the building has stayed the same with some love, but the interior needed to be redone entirely. So everything in here is brand new, and we're so grateful to be in this one-of-a-kind, historic, brand new theater in the most beautiful town in the most beautiful state.
How is your relationship with Stony Creek? It's a very small part of Branford. How has it been for you to move in and redo that space and be a part of that community?
It's a wonderful community, and you can imagine being this slice of Americana out here in its truest form, without a lot of buildup, without a lot of outsiders, how trepidatious, how concerned they were about their beautiful neighborhood all of a sudden coming in with these new people, saying we're going to come in and do X, Y, and Z and have traffic and all these things. So it took years of building trust with them, basically. And I'm so proud to say and so grateful to say that 5 years into it, we have trust and support and love from our neighbors, and we are constantly have that on our mind, and we constantly want to make sure that we are true to what we've said we would be and do for them here. In fact, in September, we have a show coming up called The Creeker, and it's a reading of a play that was commissioned by the Willoughby Wallace Memorial Library, which is right next door to us. That's the sweet little library here in Stony Creek. And Willoughby Wallace, this play is all about him as a very influential creeker, whether he liked it or not. And so it was commissioned by the library, and we're going to do a reading of it as a prelude to Stony Creek Day in September. So that's just, one really meaningful thing that I see in our season that is a nod to how far we've come with our Stony Creek neighbors, and it'll be a wonderful collaboration.
Your title, it's a very big title, and you probably have a tremendous amount of responsibility. Executive Artistic Director. What is it that you do, maybe on a day-to-day basis, but what are your responsibilities there?
Well, that's a great question. And you're right, it is a big title with a lot of responsibilities. And of course, I care so much about every little nuance of it, and then some, and we have a fabulous staff. Our staff has pared down a bit. We used to work hand in hand with managing directors as well, but at the current mode, we are executive artistic directors, the title, because I'm taking on all of the responsibilities that a typical managing director would or did, which includes the budgeting for the whole season and all of the administrative parts of running the business and decision-making parts with the board and with my development director as well. So and the staff, of course, but it's a lot of decision-making in regards to how we can grow as a company strategically. We're looking right now very closely because now we have 5 years of data. Basically, we've put every kind of thing you can imagine on our stage and all kinds of events. And so now we're saying, okay, let's look, take a step back and figure out what our audiences are telling us. What do they want legacy theater to be? What are they expecting when they come in the door? So, so a lot of it also is strategic planning. And so as we look at our 2026 and beyond, how are we going to modify our production calendar? How long are our runs going to be? Are we going to do more of one thing and less of another? So it's a lot about that, and of course donor relations and working with the board and soliciting relationships and trying to grow our name, so that it's not just here in Stony Creek or Brantford or Connecticut, but even beyond. So it feels very grounding to have this title. It feels right and good. As I said at the beginning of this interview, I love every aspect of theater making. So it feels right to be with this degree of responsibility, and I'm grateful to the board for supporting me in this title, and the staff as well. But you're right, it's a lot going on.
And probably people are thinking, my goodness, you have an amazing offering there. How do you decide what you're going to show in a season?
Well, this year, our theme was peeling back the curtain. And the idea was that here we are now, not just a brand new theater, but we're getting some years behind us. And so we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit in our 5th year celebration. So our world premiere show we have coming up is about just that. What's happening behind the scenes when they're putting on Long Day's Journey into Night. And then the next show is Sweeney Todd. And Sweeney Todd, with the, Love It and Sweeney, how they're pulling back the curtain on what's really going on in the meat pie and barbershop. And then we have Noises Off, which is the ultimate backstage and on stage farce. So it's all within that theme. And I'd like to find a reason for the pieces to kind of be strung together in their way. And I've been looking at offering as much variety as possible. I'm not sure whether we'll continue that as we look to further seasons now that we've got some data on it. But I love having a new work as a world premiere, a classic, a dramatic piece, as well as a funny piece, a musical, straight play. So as long as I get all of those within a season, I feel like I'm doing my part.
Well, we probably have a lot of people that would love to be associated with the theater as an actor, behind the scenes, management, you name it. How would somebody be able to present themselves to you to be able to perform or be a part of the theater?
Great question. We welcome everybody. We need all those people. So for auditions, we have a link on our website. You can audition through our website. We typically do our season auditions the beginning of the year, so January through March-ish. We had over 1,000 submissions this year, but it was wonderful watching all of them and responding to them. And we're committed to our performers, and especially the local ones. So please continue to submit. If you're not right for something this season, we're just continuing to do work. So, having you on file is wonderful. So please submit a headshot and resume to us if you haven't. And then for working behind the scenes, similarly, all of our email addresses, mine, Jeff Seitlin, who's our wonderful general manager, all of them are on our website under the About Us link on the website at legacytheaterct.org. So if you look at our bio and then you'll see the email address, feel free to email us. We love getting emails from you. Tell us what you'd like to do at the theater, and if we have a need for it at that moment, we might scoop you right up. So please stay in touch. We love to hear from our community.
Okay, we are slowly starting to run out of time. Any closing thoughts for the viewers before we say goodbye?
I want you to come. If you haven't been to Legacy before, everybody who comes in is just enamored of the place. It's so beautiful here. It's got, they call it the new theater smell. It still does after, still being in our 5th season. It's so unique, and it's such an inviting and engaging experience just to be here. And if one piece of theater isn't for you, don't worry. Something in our season will be. We do have our family series. We've got our Broadway concerts, all kinds of ways to be involved, and our wonderful teachers and our conservatory program. just come and experience what it is to be a Legacy Theater attendee or family member, really. We love having new people come and then people who've come for years and years to continue coming and bringing more people. So thank you for supporting arts. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you, Deborah, for having us. And I look forward to meeting our viewers.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here again. It's such a pleasure to have you, and I know my viewers love getting to hear from you every time that you're here. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Deborah, for having me.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You've been tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. In case you need to reach me, I'm at artsandentertainment@mail.com. Well, I hope you have a super day today, and thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. I'll see you next time.